Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
Hi, I'm Greg Albrecht for Christianity Without the Religion. It was back in July of 1969 when a three-stage rocket, 363 feet tall, lifted off the launch pad and rocketed the first humans who would set foot on the moon into space. Each one of the stages of the three-stage rocket had its own propellants, so that the first stage, the booster stage, enabled the other two stages and the payload, the ultimate payload, the human beings who would set foot on the moon, to get into space. Now you might be saying, what does a three-stage rocket have to do with God's grace? Great question. So what does a three-stage rocket have to do with God's grace? Well, have you ever heard questions like these? God helps those who help themselves. Or maybe you've heard a phrase like this: do your best, and God will do the rest. Or maybe you've heard this phrase: we only have this life to prepare for our next heavenly life, so we'd better do the best we can now. Well, that's all about booster rockets in terms of theology. And it's wrong-headed, erroneous theology according to the Bible. Essentially, the idea of three-stage rockets and wrong-headed theology is this. People will say, well, you know, yeah, I believe in grace, but I believe in grace but, which means that I believe that grace is the initial booster rocket that gets us going. But then after God gets us going, then it's up to us. In terms of the three-stage rocket analogy, in terms of the analogy of going to the moon, or beyond that, in salvific terms of getting to heaven, the idea is that God's grace gets us going. But then after we're going, after He's given us, some people use the term a down payment, which is changing the metaphor slightly, then after He's done that, it's up to us to do the rest. But the truth of the Bible, the truth of the gospel, is absolutely opposed to that idea. The truth is that God does it all, that we can't do any of it. There's nothing about getting to heaven or getting into heaven or powering our way from where we are to where God is that's up to us. Nothing at all. So don't allow God's grace to be devalued and watered down so that it becomes a religious booster rocket. It's everything, ladies and gentlemen, everything. God does for us what we cannot do for ourselves. That's God's grace. Think about that. I'm Greg Albrecht for Christianity Without the Religion. Thanks for watching.